All right, it's Crossfire with Dakbo and Ishama, and we have a gentleman who joined us in the course of the show, and it's no other person but Benga Oditilo. Benga, good morning.
Good
to
morning.
have you on the show.
Good
Good to have
Good
you,
morning.
and compliments of the season.
I wish you the same as well.
All right, I mean, sometimes I really don't know how you feel about this politics called Nigeria. And, behind the cameras, we were just trying to prepare for the show. And we seems to, to just stumble on a question that I feel, I mean, I don't want to put you on the spot, that I may, want to ask you, just for the benefit of people who are watching us at home. Is channel 259 on the STV, and on our terrestrial platform is channel 57. So if you're watching us right now, it's Crossfire with Dakbo and Ishama, and we're just going to be discussing something really very important, the state of the nation, vis-a-vis a lot of things that are happening at the same time. And I'm going to just quickly give you an overview of our conversation today. Now, we're not really narrowing down to a particular topic, but we're looking at a couple of issues that is really very disturbing. We're going to look at, now, Gwenga, let me ask you.
Yeah.
How would you answer these questions? Number one, in 2005, the Yar'Adua-led administration in 2007, actually out of the excess crude oil account, made a withdrawal of about 5 billion naira to sort out the agitations and the controversies in the Niger Delta. During the Jonathan administration, something very significant happened in this account also, and about 2 billion US dollars was also withdrawn. That was captured to actually fill in for subsidy and all of that. Now we have another very, a repetition of this in the Buhari-led government, and it's becoming more of a controversy. 1 billion US dollars has been withdrawn. At the initial stage, I think, I don't want to say I think, I mean, the caption on the day this money was approved was that it will be used, for Boko Haram. And then when questions started, to be asked, then they came out to explain that it's not only to fight Boko Haram. We have a lot of other things we want to do, security issues, and that a few years back nobody knew that Boko Haram would come up. So trying to be reactive to security issues in the nation is not the ideal. Prepare in case anything comes up and all of that. We have that really pending, and I think the federal government is still trying to explain to people what exactly this money is meant for. Now, the National Executive Council actually sat, and 32 of them were present at the meeting where it was approved, and so the majority actually took or participated in the decision making to facilitate the release of the money. Now, another classical issue that has been repetitive. Every Christmas period, there's always fuel scarcity. And you keep wondering, what exactly is the situation? Is it that everybody goes to sleep towards the end of the year?
Or it's intentional.
Or it's intentional. Yeah. Maybe there's some monies to be collected by force from government. And so the participating organizations or people who probably are doing the oil business take advantage of this. You know the regular way we go about getting government's attention. Every time we need the attention of government, we hold them, by going on strike. A few days ago, Pengasan just decided that we're going on strike, and for no reason.
In solidarity.
Less than 24 hours. Maybe they were met or something happened. They said, okay, we cancel it. We're not going. Everybody, there will be fuel in every filling stations. They went out, started shutting a few stations who were selling not at pump price, or probably they have the product and are not selling and all of that. And yet the queues did not disappear. And I can go on and on and on and on. To mention, but a few. But the point here, maybe the question, let me frame it this way. What is wrong with us? What exactly is wrong with us? I think something is wrong. Like I said, we're talking about it behind the camera. Let me just get your feel. What is wrong with this entity called Nigeria? How would you just explain it?
Well, You've highlighted several issues, and I always like breaking down issues, separating them
exactly
from the other, as much as they might be intertwined, but they are specific issues. And fundamentally, the key thing about all this thing is still the structure of this country. When you look at everything you have mentioned, whether you are taking money from excess crude oil accounts, whether there is a fuel crisis, whether there is security issues, it's still all about a country that, number one, the governance structure is designed in such a way not to address key issues. You're talking about a country that is not system or process driven. You're talking about a country that things are built around individuals rather than institutions. And it's pretty defective. Everything seems pretty defective. For example, the fuel scarcity that you're talking about, there are several elements. There is the Pengassan issue.
Yes.
There is the NNPC issue. There are the marketer issues. There are the marketer issues that are claiming that they are not, the business is not profitable enough for them. Why? To an extent, I want to agree with them. Because of the bulk of the PMS that is brought into the country is brought in by NNPC. NNPC is the one, NNPC gets some level of waivers in the access to FX to be able to bring this thing. These guys don't have access to those kind of things. Who also fixes the prices? The government fixes the prices, PPRA or whatever they call it. They fix the price. So it's not a function of whether market forces are doing anything. That is still, the market is still not open. Some people say, it's not being subsidized. If you really look at it at the end of the day, government is still providing some level of subsidy because NNPC can get FX at whatever rate to bring in the PMS, the marketers.
I'm seriously in doubt. I doubt if there's any subsidy.
There is a way all these things are worked out.
Okay.
Because you can't tell me you will bring in PMS and the amount is sold in Lagos, the same transport costs from moving the truck to Sokoto is the same transport cost for moving it to Ibadan. So something somewhere
someone is paying that
difference. Paying that price of the subsidy. But they might be telling you we're not paying subsidy. But along the line, when you critically analyze it, somebody is having access to FX at a particular rate, while others cannot have access to that. Who is breaching all those gaps? So there are a lot of agitation. Pengassan coming up and going on a strike because of a company called Nekado or whatever the name of the company, because of their workers were fired. That is another anomaly. And the whole country was owed to ransom because of distribution. But the question I will ask is this. Over the years, that's why I said we are not process-driven people. Over the years, we have always known during festive period, whether it's a Leia festival, whether it's Christmas, there seems to be more demand for PMS. So, which means we have not been able to deal with the issue of demand and supply. But I've been simulating scenarios, knowing that at this particular time, there is need for more of this product.
The bulk of importation at the moment is being done by the federal government.
That's what I'm saying.
So then the government should have taken that.
It's still an environment where government controls everything that happens. And when you have that kind of sector, that government is the one controlling everything, and we have known government institutions are not very efficient when it comes to service delivery.
Now, if the government doesn't control this sector critically, as you have mentioned now, don't you fear that the price variation may be too high on the people?
The bottom line at the end of the day is still about, we have a product, we have the crude oil, and we have not been able to work on our local capacity to refine it. That's still the fundamental problem.
Okay.
It's still the fundamental problem. And the sector has not been fully deregulated. Government has not hands over the core of everything. Government brings in the bulk of the supply. Government stores the bulk of the supply. People buy, people get it from all the jetties. And so it's a lot of complication, and government is still the one fixing the price. And the people in the private sector, the private marketers, have no choice but to comply, no matter what price they bring it in.
So even if they're selling at a loss?
Even if they have to sell at a loss. And they've been agitated for a long time that we can't get FX to buy, and the margins are pretty slim. That agitation has been there for long. So these are critical issues. And somebody somewhere is saying by 2019 we'll begin to, they're just the same. All they are banking on is on Dangote. And Dangote is not going to be your solution because Dangote's refinery is purely for exports. You can't get about over $16 billion and you say what you want to address is Nigeria issue.
Exactly.
It's a more of a global thing that the guy wants to address. So it's a mentally lazy country where you have leaders that are mentally lazy. They are not planning for the future. The refineries are obsolete, producing less than 10%, and we are wasting money on it.
But recently, I even want to find out, the Buhari-led government have a plan to revamp the refinery. And they're not talking about, I mean, what Ibe Kachiku said the last time is that we're not talking about turnaround maintenance here. We're talking about, you know, increasing the capacity, fixing whatever is wrong with
obsolete refineries.
Everything in Nigeria is obsolete.
Obsolete refineries. When you have South Africa that doesn't have crude oil, has well-efficient refinery producing.
Same with Bahrain.
So the problem is, you know, we have talked about the PIB. There are several elements to it. Until full legislation, that's why the National Assembly is still part of this problem. Until all the elements of the PIB is fully passed into law, before that sector is fully deregulated, then people have confidence to bring enough investment into that industry. And that's why people are not bringing any investment in. Because legislation is what gives you the confidence to come into a country because you know you are protected by law. The rule of law is protecting a businessman. And when you can't see that in place, we'll keep having the problems we are having. So the real issues we are not addressing. Government is too much involved in a whole lot of issues they are not supposed to be involved in. In the 21st century, you talk about ECA. People are using their savings from crude oil to invest on human capacity development in infrastructure. What do we do with our own? Now they said $1 billion for Boko Haram. And everybody is saying, and this is a technically defeated Boko Haram. The funds that you have allocated over a period of time in 2015 budget.
When you look at the you know, internally displaced persons, feeding them, reorientating them, reintegrating them back into Nigeria, and the rebuilding of the, you know, northeastern part of Nigeria, considering the level of, you know, damage that have been done in that region. If you critically look at it, do you think $1 billion is a lot of money? If really and truly there is sincerity on the part of government?
$1 billion is a lot of money and they can do so much more. But mind you, we don't have a government that is transparent and that is accountable. Have you seen the videos that go viral on the independent, what do you call them now? All this, like you just mentioned now, where you have this internally displaced people. Have you seen videos and pictures of how people are not well taken care of? There are videos of policemen fighting for rights even in this, with the IDPs. They are not well taken care of. The health care is abysmal. There is still the issue of somebody, 2.5 billion, that said he used money to cut grass that have not been addressed. So the issue is this. We have 2015, 2016, 2017 budgets. Part of those funds, there are funds that are appropriated to fighting Boko Haram. The question is, has anybody given an account on how those funds were utilized? For what?
No, but
the details.
Yes, to a very large extent, information in the populist domain have it that about 40% of the 2007 Appropriation Act has been executed.
It's
especially
20% funds have been made available. Just as of December 15, it's just 450 billion that was made available. I think they had a meeting yesterday, maybe another chunk.
A lot of money.
But the question is this.
A lot of projects, you know, were read.
I'm the kind of person, give us the details. You spent 450 billion, 20%. What are they spent for? The devil is in the details.
They released money.
They released money for the rails, the Lagos-Ibadan rails, recently, a few days ago. They released...
Not total sum, part sum.
Yeah, I mean, but...
That's what I'm saying. They break down... They break down your locomotives. I would rather
Asset purchase.
I would rather drive my car than enter those locomotives that can't do more than 100 kilometers per hour. When you have all over the world, even in Ethiopia, they are doing
Fast
250 kilometers per hour, 350 kilometers per hour. So why will I enter your locomotive? We're spending billions. That's why I'm saying we need to ask questions.
So before you
Break
can
down
get
the
from
details.
Lagos to Ilorin, maybe like 2
Let me
days.
go drive my car.
So, but then, yesterday, someone was asking the issue of security votes and this 1 billion. Do they have any similarity or the different monies here?
Because part of the report says all these funds will be allocated all around the states of the federation to address all internal security and all that. But the question...
Yeah, it has a similitude to the security vote.
The question, that's what I'm saying, the question still remains. $1 billion, break it down. Let's see, the devil is in the details. Nigerians don't ask questions. The devil is in it. Break it down. What exactly do you want to address which the line items? Okay, you want to address security. Security is a vague term. You know, they said you are going to use part of this money for procurement of logistics.
Exactly.
What do you mean by procurement of logistics? It's vague. You are procuring logistics. You know, they say they're going to buy weapons and ammunition. Okay, what kind of weapons and ammunition do you want to buy? America, Saudi Arabia signed a deal with America about running to several billions. And the details were clear what they were purchasing. But the question is with us. They will just give $1 billion is 363 billion naira, for God's sake. The question is, why towards the tail end of election, when elections are about to start, the optics, without details
So
being
you think this is
down.
just propaganda?
I'm not saying...
Or beyond propaganda. Now, like some members of the PDP will also allege that that $1 billion will not be used for security like the government is alleging.
There's no way they would use it.
The question is, are PDP governors not part of the governors that approved it?
And that's why I'm saying 32 of them were present.
All the parties in Nigeria are involved in these shenanigans. And that's why it even took the government over 72 hours to come out for the VP to know it's not just for what do you call it? It's not just for Boko Haram alone. Masari gave a different one. Obaseki was asked, he couldn't give details until the VP came. So it took government over 72 hours to even start make comment on each issue. So look at the gap. It brings room for a lot of suspicion. So that's why I keep saying, the devil is in the details. What are the details? The line item of, we are talking about you want to procure logistics. What do you mean to procure? Because the last election, some people were procuring logistics for prayers to fight Boko Haram. And somebody was allocated almost a billion.
Exactly.
That could be part of logistics. You know, that was part of logistics. Somebody took about $1 billion to pray so that Boko Haram people will die. So people got money for different things under Jonathan to do different kind of things. Until date, how all those funds were spent, there is no account.
Okay.
Somebody even brought another angle.
So it means this government could really mean well. Maybe because subsequently such monies have been withdrawn and they were not spent well.
Meanwhile, you will only mean well when the optics are right, when there is transparency, when there is a breakdown of the details, the ones that have been spent before on the fight against Boko Haram. Let's see the details.
But then don't you think we should give this government a benefit of doubt?
There's
I mean, because the vice president already said details on this will be made available to the public.
Those are the first things you should address.
And he has even explained. No. Okay, let me ask you this question.
Yeah.
What type of government would you run?
If you were the president.
If you were the president. An all-inclusive where you have to tell the whole world and you let Nigerians and even people who are not even Nigerians, but they live in Nigeria to be part of the decision of what you want to do, or you will sit down with heads. We're talking about the National Executive Council, a constituent of the Federal Executive Council and governors. And all of them were present. 32 of them were present. Let me put it that way. Okay. The fact that Adele Fayose is coming out strong to agitate and to say, oh, there's a problem because it's in opposition, does not really mean that the sitting was not justified, and the agreement to make $1 billion available for security reasons is not justifiable.
That's why I'm asking a question, Dapo. Security $1 billion to fight a technically defeated Boko Haram.
But then beyond Boko Haram, like the vice president said, also to address other internal security issues.
We are talking about
issues.
Let's give an instance.
So this
security votes every month. Governors get security votes every month. So what exactly are they using those security votes for? The government of each state appropriates for security.
No, but the security vote is just in the name. It really, from the way it's been explained over time, it's not like it's being spent for security. It is.
Okay.
But on the flip side,
every state has a budget allocated for security. What have they been utilizing those funds for? If there have been any gap between the issues within those states, because now they say it's for all the states of the Federation.
Okay.
All the budget that each of these states have been appropriating for security. Yes. How have they spent it?
Okay.
What have they spent it on?
What is the problem? What is the problem the National Assembly is having with this money? I mean, do we have a justification for the National Executive Council to have approved this money, or every money that the National Executive Council approves or plans to spend, an approval must still be gotten from the National Assembly?
The National Assembly has nothing to do with the extra school savings account. Okay. The way it stands is 3 tiers of government, which is all the executive arm, like the governors, the executive,
so why are they raising issues?
But you know the funny thing, the local government is not even part of this. The local government is supposed, unfortunately, the local governments are supposed to sign off on this. There is still an illegality on this issue. Who were the local government chairman represented on this issue? They were not represented.
Okay.
It's just because when you share the federal allocation, it's shared among 3 tiers.
But then do we have the principle of separation of powers and autonomy?
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
But government is gradually integrating the local government system back. Elections have taken place in a couple of states.
Elections have taken place, and some people are still appointing people to sit over elected officials. Do you call that a democracy?
No. So where does the National Assembly come to play? Because the National Assembly also has the power to correct some of these abnormalities. You talked about the issue of details, exactly. But now the Senate too, they're silent. The Senate they're probably raising claims and voices saying no. This thing is not transparent. But shouldn't there be a law?
No. That would be a constitutional issue until you address the elements with regards to constitution, as regards extra school account that is passed into law, before you start saying maybe they might have a hold over that. As it stands right now. But then
the Senate, they're not doing their duties on that regard.
And that's what I'm saying. We run a defective system. The whole system is defective. Nigeria is run based on the emotions of individuals, how individuals feel, what they think. It's not a process system-driven society. Everything is done based on how somebody perceives it, how somebody feels, and the citizens don't ask questions. They just settle for as long as it's so.
If they ask questions, would they get answers?
No.
Because Nigerians have been asking questions.
Because we always perceive everything is from either the ethnic or religious angle, and that is why the politicians keep having a free day.
Okay. Sadly, I don't know how we got here, but we are here already. And we'll keep talking about it until we find a solution to Nigeria. Stay with us. It's still Crossfire with Dapo Anishoma. We'll be right back after this. All right, thanks for staying with us. We are back, and it's still Crossfire with Dapo Anishoma. We have Benga Onitilo in the studio with us, and we are discussing the state of the nation. Now, why don't we want to give this government the benefit of the doubt? Before, the few words that I placed on the table before you responded, 5 billion was withdrawn by the Yar'Adua-led government. Okay. $2 billion US was withdrawn by the Jonathan administration. Don't you think that this Buhari-led government is quite magnanimous?
It's because we don't have enough money there. That's why.
No, there's a lot of money there. We still have over $2 billion in that account. Okay. And given the fact that it's just only a few governors. I understand from the explanation. This money belongs to the 3 tiers of government. It's their money.
Yeah.
So for obvious reasons, the agitation from the National Assembly should not hold water. Okay. It's very simple because it is not their money. It's not part of the system. When this account was initially created, the National Assembly has nothing to do with it. It belongs to the National Executive Council, and that is the federal government, the state government, and the local government. Very valid point you made before we went on that break. The local government doesn't seem to
the government is not the local government anyway.
Exactly. So whatever is allocated to the state, the local government are supposed to get their share. And that's the way they've been collecting their money.
Unfortunately, it shouldn't be that way.
They need to collect it directly.
Great, terrible anomaly, and that's why development is far from us.
But then there is a court judgment in that regard. If you recall, the court case that took place during the time of former President Olusegun Obasanjo on the joint account. So now there is a joint account. So probably that is the reason why.
But at the end of the day, don't forget in 2014, several state governors voted against the autonomy of the local government.
But beyond that also,
so the local government,
the music has changed.
Oh.
After the reggae is the blues now. Because
so what changed?
Today I think to a very large extent the APC-led government is favorably disposed to having a level of autonomy.
But there is no bill that has been passed to say that local government...
No, a huge step has been taken.
No.
But that is the chairman and councillors
have been appointed.
It cannot happen without all the state house of assemblies as well being part of...
But an individual can initiate it.
It is a bill that must be passed.
Voted
it has nothing to do with the individual. It's a bill that must be passed. In 2014, some of the people that are calling themselves progressives right now, they voted against the autonomy of the local government. So which means they collect...
But like I said,
they are the ones that determine...
A lot of them, we have states that have even announced dates for their own local government elections. Exactly. And many states have done.
But at the end of the day, give an example of Lagos State, for example. They are still appointing secretaries to rule over people that are elected by the citizens. How do you call that? Do you still call that a democracy? And one of the leaders is quoted to have been saying that you either accept it or you leave it under a democracy. And the accounts of the local government and the states are still joined together. The state still receives the allocation and it decides what to give to the local government.
So you're saying despite the show of having to vote, there is still
It's just a scam. At the end of the day, the governors are the ones that determines who the chairman is. It's just like the State House of Assembly. People don't even know what they're supposed to be fighting. You should be fighting your State House of Assembly members. Those are the people that are supposed to, just like the National Assembly, is checkmating the executive. Your State House of Assembly are supposed to be the one checkmating your governors.
Now the issue is, where lies the power of the Constitution?
Yeah, with regards to what?
Let me rephrase the question
on that.
No, let me rephrase the question. Yeah. For instance, withdrawing any amount of money from the excess crude account is once there's a consensus decision by the National Executive Council,
saying.
They can go ahead and do whatever they want to do.
Whatever they want to do with it.
So if the National Assembly have a question, they should raise a bill saying that before you can remove any money from the excess crude account, there must be this process need to be followed.
But
the process that needs to be followed is that all governors of the state...
As it is a constitutional matter. Until that element of that constitution,
I disagree with you.
Because these are monies that come from the three tiers of government.
Exactly.
It's like a savings.
Yes.
So the National Assembly, as it is right now, has no control over anything.
Okay.
This is purely a constitutional matter until there's an amendment done on that element of the constitution. The National Assembly can make all the noise they want to make. It's these guys that will determine how to spend that money. They can make any noise they want to. It's a constitutional matter. It's a constitutional matter. So these three arms of government are the ones saying, okay, out of my own share, I'm putting this one here. Out of my own share, I'm putting... So it's now behoves on government or the people to begin to demand accountability, to demand transparency, or to agitate against their own reps, to look at how do we amend elements guiding these excess crude accounts that it will come to a place that the National Assembly might end up having a say on how these funds are utilized. That is where we should be going towards. Because as it is right now, when it comes to the budget, they can't do the same thing. because it must run through the National Assembly.
Okay, but
I think we should be looking at that for this ECA.
All right, and now something very coincidental. I want to believe it's a coincidence, but I just need your thought on it. The last 2 billion naira that was withdrawn by the Jonathan-led administration was done in 2015, just a few months
before
the
elections. Yeah.
Now, the election year is 2018.
Yeah.
Could this have anything to do with preparation for 2019 elections?
Well, they borrowed
they
borrowed the template. They borrowed the template from
PDP.
Dasuki.
Oh, from Azuki.
Maybe they should just let Dasuki go, self.
Oh, this is
seriously. Seriously, it's the optics.
No, but then if that's were the case, you would not have governors from the opposition voting in favor. So for them to vote in favor, it means they probably have a good idea that money will be utilized for the reasons.
What I'm saying, I've said something earlier. All political parties in Nigeria are united against Nigeria. Whenever it comes to money to be shared.
But then when it comes to politics and the election in view, the PDP would not deliberately want to do a thing that the APC can take credit for.
Who is PDP? Who is APC? When you have in your state, PDP is moving into APC. In Lagos State, they are doing the same. They are doing it all over. So PDP is called equals APC. APC equals PDP.
Wow.
So they are all the same.
That's a huge statement.
Yeah,
not the campaign.
When an article moves from PDP
back to the campaign.
I mean, from APC
the bulk of the people that make APC, the MPDP, are not part of it.
So beyond APC,
so forget all this party.
So are you saying indirectly
when it comes to,
that the PDP governors who voted in favor are working for the APC or APC in disguise?
Get what I'm saying? All politicians in Nigeria, no matter the geographical zone, no matter the party, when it comes to money to be shared, they are united. When it comes at the expense of the people, when money is there to be shared, to be that will benefit all of them, they are united. It's only when there is no benefit for the ones that call themselves supposed opposition. They are not any opposition. Supposed opposition, when there is no benefit for them, that's when you start seeing agitation.
But I think, Benga, it would not be fair not to give credit to this administration.
Credit in terms of what exactly?
For we're talking about this $1 billion US. They did what they're supposed to do. This money, was not taken. This money was not taken.
I'm asking a question.
Yes.
I don't have a problem whether you have
governor sat.
That's not the issue that I have.
Okay.
The ones that you have spent, the ones that have been spent since this administration took over and been fighting Boko Haram. Can you please give us a statement of account? Let's see so far what you have spent for what you have achieved.
Was it done during the past administration?
No.
So what's the exception? What is the exception?
No. Look,
for the Buhari-led government.
When we keep trying to compare one government to another and trying to use one government as a benchmark for performance, that's mediocrity in itself.
Unfortunately,
I don't think so. But unfortunately, that is up to
all over the world.
That is up to
all over the world.
That is the principle of optics. That is the way.
No. Okay. There must be a standard metrics of measuring governance.
Do we have a standard in Nigeria?
Does any standard exist?
So we always have to
that's what I'm saying.
Previous.
What are you benchmarking the activities of the Buhari-led government
when we keep
against?
Comparing good and better, that's mediocrity. There is the best. There's best practice.
But we've never had the best.
No. Best practice has nothing to do with the person or who has governed or not.
It's a universal
process. So that's what I'm talking about. So when we want to measure performance, let's measure based on best practice. Let's not measure that, okay, Buhari is doing this one, Jonathan is not doing that. It's a vague way of measuring performance.
Okay, now, if we're going to measure best practice here with how this government has handled the issue of Boko Haram insurgency, then that means we can give this government a plus. Because even international leaders, foreign leaders too, have commended this government's fight against Boko Haram.
That's war. No, but are you saying that Boko Haram is not technically defeated?
Are they technically defeated? We look at all the onslaught that happened since the beginning of the year. You said they are technically defeated. You have
in recent past, let's look at it in the last 3-4 months.
Look at ISIS.
The activities of Boko Haram is like dead.
Because you are not hearing enough.
They were hitting soft targets recently, but ever since then.
But the question still remains. Has anybody ever asked any question on how these guys, you are going to spend a $1 billion against a ragtag, deflated enemy?
Or supposedly defeated.
Supposed, whatever. So if you are spending $1 billion it means there is still a potent threat.
But remember that $1 billion is not just for Boko Haram insurgency alone.
But the core of it will go into that.
Now, I recall...
The core of it will go to that.
If you recall, General Buratai once made a statement when he was, decorating some of the promoted officers, and he said the military on their own part had done a lot in defeating Boko Haram on the ground. But what was remaining to cement their efforts, irrespective of the fact that they still had a lot of work to do, was the issue of propaganda. Having to address the issue of indoctrination, propaganda, and media, and their recruitment basis, which unfortunately is still happening. So we could also say that that money will also be used to fight that. And if you look at Iran, despite the activities of Turkey, the activities of Russia and America, ISIS still once in a while to go there and they hit targets. So if we compare that with what's happening, we can say the government is doing well.
Let me just take you on what you have just said. You said he's talking about the issue of brainwashing, the issue of
the recruitment
and all that. Money will not solve that problem.
But you need money for those campaigns.
Hold on. I mean, I like the question. The problem we have is we always throw money at problems. The problem with the Northeast, is purely because of lack of development.
Beyond that, I refuse to agree with that. I totally refuse to agree.
Whether you refuse to agree or not, let me just go on. Okay. You have not dealt with the recruitment. Have you heard reports that these guys... No, let me even come about reports, real things that happen. Okay. That Boko Haram gives loans to people, young people, to do business. They give them, small entrepreneurs, they give them money to do business. And if you cannot, part of the bond is, if you cannot pay back, you come and fight for us. And that's one of your major way of recruitment. Okay. So when you have a zone in Nigeria that education is abysmal, there's no real investment into education, they will tell you they are building schools.
So where does Where does the problem of religious fundamentalism come into play? We have seen that
That is where I'm going to.
That one is a foundational...
The issue of Iran and Saudi Arabia
Let's focus. The nations we are even talking about, what is their unemployment rate? Iran and Saudi. You want to compare Nigeria or Northern Nigeria?
But then the issue of religious fundamentalism is the major problem of Boko Haram's growth.
Don't ever make a mistake comparing any state in the Middle East to anywhere in Northern Nigeria. Behind the people in Nigeria are fanatics. If you go to Saudi, hold on. If you go to Saudi, Iran, Oman, all those countries, I've been to quite a lot of them. Highly developed. When it comes to unemployment rates, very low. Mortality rate, very low. Access to disposable income. So you cannot even begin to compare those guys. Those guys have invested in their people. They have invested in the development of their people. They have invested in education. They have invested in healthcare. Go to the north, for example. Let me give you an example. Zamfara State only has about 50 doctors for a population of 4 million people. So how do we even begin to think like that?
And more than 30 of them will travel out of the country next year.
What investment, what opportunities are these states creating for their people to be empowered in terms of sustaining themselves?
No, Mr. Gwenga,
those are the real issues.
I
Security is one of the major issues, but the exposure...
But let us also consider the issue of religious fundamentalism. Now remember...
What leads to religious fundamentalism?
Hold on.
Now,
beyond the issue of poverty, there is always the reasons why wars are fought, the reasons why wars continue is because there is somebody somewhere who is benefiting.
The question is
either in terms of supply of ammunition the movement of propaganda.
Those are secondary problems.
Yes, the primary one comes when the primary issues are not addressed.
That is a major issue.
The secondary becomes a major.
Let us look at the issue of Libya. Let us look at the issue of Libya. When Libyans poor, no, they were not poor. Under Gaddafi, they were not poor. They had good education.
The Libyan problem was a Western agenda.
It was a Western agenda.
So now,
so we cannot compare the Libyan. No, you can't compare it to Nigeria.
I think it was a Western agenda. Boko Haram and ISIS.
The question you should ask yourself.
Boko Haram and Al-Qaeda.
No.
Gaddafi had a plan that the Western world does not want.
I've been to Libya when Gaddafi was still running. You cannot be...
Fantastic
No,
nation.
hold on.
Agree.
Hold on. Don't compare the peculiarity. Our peculiarities are different from the peculiarities of Libya. They are two different things.
They are religious, but they are not fine.
No. I'm not even talking about. I'm talking about what led to the problems of Libya.
You still have not addressed my question. My major question is, what if now, like the Libya situation, you have said that there were Western forces. Yeah. Now, what if the issue of Boko Haram, there are foreign affiliations, there are foreign elements who do not want peace in Nigeria?
How long will it take for Nigeria to establish that?
In the Northeast.
But at the end of the day...
So at the end of the day, the government still needs to fight that propaganda.
Look, when you approach it from that angle, you are making an excuse for the government that they are powerless. They are powerless against a country that is sovereign.
But they don't be powerless.
That's the excuse you are making. You are saying foreign invasion.
If you recall, the 7/11 Madala Christmas Day bombing.
Throwing money at security alone will not solve the problem of high rates of unemployment, high rates of maternal health care, education. Still remain investment, massive investment.
Now, let me take your last comment on this.
A major way of fighting narratives in the minds of the people. If we don't invest majorly, I'm not talking about building classrooms.
Can I just take your last comment, because we're rounding up right now. Yeah. Don't you think we should at least give this government a chance?
What chance? After how many? Is it their father's money?
Are
they spending their father's money? That will give them a chance.
Can't we just give them the benefit of the doubt and see
from
this money will be properly utilized
from next year? There will no longer be governance. It's going to be about elections and politics.
Okay.
They've spent over 2 years, and the indices are clear. They will be telling you we're out of recession. They will tell you inflation is down. Key issues. You are talking about standard benchmark of governance. How do you measure governance? You measure governance by the quality of lives of the people and the living conditions. Yeah. No, not even that. Practical things.
Practical things, okay.
How much money do people have in their pockets?
Yes.
How much do you have left in your pocket to spend?
Cost of living, standard of living.
Disposable income. The power to afford.
Rate of employment.
How many jobs have you created in the past 2.5 years? When you came in, about over 5 million jobs were lost. Government will tell you government does not create jobs. When I keep hearing that a government is creating jobs, you are out of your mind. You create the enablement for the private sector, the SME, to create jobs. Thrive. But we have not created enough opportunities. You see people going to Libya and all that. Why do you think they are running away?
Okay.
It's because we have not created opportunities for people to be empowered.
Okay, even though this is your opinion, you believe in this government, yes or no?
Which government? I believe in Nigeria.
Okay. Benga believes in Nigeria. We believe in Nigeria. All right, this is how far we can go on the show today. Been very interesting. We'll be back tomorrow with another very interesting episode. Do join us.
To enjoy more of these our Ogbonge videos when you just watch, press this button to subscribe on top of our YouTube page. You go love am.